When I told the other crew members that my game of the year was Hamilton: An American Musical, they all scoffed at me because it was released in 2015 and because it isn't a video game by your normal definitions. So I had to scrap that and give this list another go. And just looking back on 2016 in video games, it just emphasized how a strong, vibrant community can really enhance a game. Just look at Pokemon Go, an app which is incredibly basic and simplistic, but the fact that you had so many people gathering around it, exchanging information, memes, and all sorts of wonderful things, it just made the experience so much unlike anything else. And also look at Overwatch, a game which is already fine enough, but you just have a meme machine that is just pumping out hot quality content, which just makes a really well-crafted game even better. And just aside from this whole community aspect, I also want to highlight Thumper, which is one of the best rhythm games in this generation, maybe even the last generation too. It is incredibly intense, it is incredibly difficult, but by God, it is worth it. It is almost as good as Hamilton: An American Musical.
Now 2016 has been a bit of an interesting year for me because my favourite thing from this year has probably been The Witcher 3 expansion Blood and Wine, and that's technically not a game release of 2016, but it does change up the core mechanics of the game enough to really worth another playthrough, even the New Game Plus mode. So I think probably that's my favourite from the year, but if I had to pick full games, Uncharted 4 was fantastic. It hasn't been as strong as the previous Uncharted's, but it's still a great entry to the series, and as well as Civ 6. I wasn't hugely addicted on Civ 5, but Civ 6, once I started, I could not put it down. It was one more turn, and all of a sudden it's 5 AM and I'm still playing Civ. So I really enjoyed that this year. Things like Doom as well, I didn't have as much luck with on the PC because it still doesn't support SLI, so maybe I'll have to pick it up on console.
So 6 months ago, when we did our Game of the Half Year of 2016, I made the bold prediction that Doom would be my Game of the Year for 2016. And 6 months have passed, and there have been some really cool games in that time frame. Like, hell, for the longest time, Titanfall 2 seemed to be like the game to beat. But then I thought about some. And to me, Doom is the perfect package. It's a great first-person shooter. It does mobility and combat flow better than any other shooter this year. It knows not to take itself too seriously, which is something that more games need to take note of. There's a moment where you can fist bump a collectible. It's the coolest thing in the world. And the coolest part about it, the really cool thing, it goes for stupid cheap nowadays. So if you're really looking for an excuse to play the Game of the Year 2016, Doom is cheap. It's playable on just about every system you can imagine. Do yourself a favor, check it out.
2016's been one of those years that had a really good standard of games and a few really good gems. 2015 had a few good gems, but just a mess standard. This has been really surprising this year. The ones that reached the top of my list, a game for first-timers and fans, World of Final Fantasy. Got you there, because, 15. No. But like, this game is such a good game, great mechanics, great story, everything about it I just enjoyed so much. The experience was great. So coming in second, I have Odin Sphere Lefthraiser. Like, I'm getting a little bit of a mix here because they're both kind of very similar games, and they had a nice really art style 1 and 2. This game had a really good refresh of its own mechanics. Like, coming from the old game, it's just done a lot of stuff that's really, really good. Coming in third, because I played it for so long, even though I don't really want to put it on my list, I have to, Final Fantasy 15, because the game is so good, the story,
What a year 2016 has been for video games. Like, 2015 showed us that you can take big names and ruin franchises, Fallout 4 and Metal Gear Solid 5. But 2016 has shown us that there are so many good, diverse titles coming out from right across the world. Shin Megami Tensei, Mankind Divided, Titanfall, you know what I mean? Like, there are all these games that have come out that haven't really hit the peaks of all their peers, but are still really good games. But my list has got to be Doom, Attack on Titan, Meme Watch. They're all really good games, but Doom just nails it. It knows what it's going for. It's fast, it's frantic, it does everything that it sets out to do. But go out and play video games. Hasn't been this good a year in such a long time.